The Breeders' Cup Mile is habitually one of the very best races, if not the best race on the Breeders' Cup card, and I think this year is no different. While there are not necessarily any superstars on paper, it is a very, very competitive race. You'll be playing it through NYRABets. Head on over to NYRABets.com. Use the promo code CUP25 for that free $200 deposit match and the $25 free play. Let's start out by looking at the prep at Keeneland, the Coolmore Turf Mile, which Annapolis won. And if Annapolis, who drew post 11, gets the same perfect trip he got in this race, he actually has a chance to get a real piece of this race. But I don't think that's possible. Irad gave him as good a ride as you can give. Got down on the inside, saved ground, the inside a good place to be. Split horses came through. Order Australia was second at a similar good trip. He was third, actually. Ivar, not quite as good a trip, and he's a player in here as well. I thought Annapolis, who's a very nice, improving 3-year-old for Todd Pletcher, had all the best of it, and I don't believe it's going to happen again. I am playing against Annapolis, but I will use Ivar. He is in there somewhere, and he picks up Javier Castellano for this race. Modern Games, the much-talked-about Modern Games, and speaking of Ivar, we'll see him being a runner-up yet again when he was second to Modern Games, this time by a much, much wider margin. This was at Woodbine, when Modern Games absolutely destroyed the field in the Woodbine Mile back in September. The thing is, Charlie Appleby is 7 for 8 at Woodbine over the last 5 years, and it seems like his horses have performed better there than they ever do anywhere else. And while I'm not knocking Modern Games, he ran well when he second to Bayside Boy last time out. Not as well as perhaps some would have expected him, in Bayside Boy, a large price in there. He hasn't been as good as he could have been this year, but that has to discount. He has a second to Baid. He did win the French Guineas. He found the Prix de Jockey Club, the French Jockey Club, too far for him, going a mile and 5/16 at Chantilly, but he's a miler. He's good. Charlie Appleby's had this incredible record. He's 5 for 10 in the last 5 years in the Breeders' Cup with 2 seconds. Is it going to keep up? Is he really going to keep winning every race he seems to run in over here? Maybe he will, or maybe there will be a reversion of the mean. And I'm kind of going in this Breeders' Cup wondering if this is the year of the reversion of the mean. Modern Games, he ran just 3 weeks ago out at Ascot in England. I'm going to try to beat him in here. I'm not going to be surprised when I end up being wrong, but I wonder if he's really as good as some people may think, and I don't think he's as good as that effort at Woodbine. Kinross, he might be the best European coming into this race, and he was extremely impressive winning last time out. This is the Prix de la Forêt, though. This was at Longchamp, and Kinross was impressive. He's won 3 straight races at 7 furlongs, 7 furlongs, and 6 furlongs, and now he stretches to a mile. And he does it just 3 weeks after his win at 6 furlongs last time out in Royal Ascot. But Kinross has been impressive. I'm not going to knock him. I think he is very, very good. But will he be as effective at a mile? And also, post 13 did him no favors. He's a horse that figures to be forward. He's got to overcome that post from a forward position, and I think that is going to work against him. I respect him. I'm not going to play him. The Euro that I think might be the most interesting is the number 3 Dreamloper, and I have Dreamloper very high. We'll see him beating Order of Australia and beating him quite easily in the Prix de Moulin at Longchamp. It is important to note in this race, though, the horse who was favored broke down. There was a Godolphin runner, Carabas, a very talented runner, and I think that probably helped out Dreamloper, and it made his margin of victory more substantial than it could have been. She was cutting back from a mile and a quarter to that race. So maybe she ran her better race the first time cutting back, or maybe she's been a miler all along. And I think this 5-year-old mare, Dreamloper, who drew post 3, drawing much better than Kinross did, I think she's a big-time player, and she's going to be my second choice in this race. My top choice, it's going to be Regal Glory. We'll take a look at Regal Glory, finishing second, the first lady behind in Italia. I know she's lost 2 straight races, but I thought she ran the best race of anybody in the 4-star Dave, where she never saw the rail, was 2 to 3 wide the whole way on a racetrack that you needed to be saving ground on. And then she got wired by Natalia, who's in great form and just not able to catch her. But Regal Glory has been very, very good. And I think she's a horse that's better than her last 2 races show. And those 2 races are as good as any horse in there has run, at least the U.S.-based horses, except Modern Games Woodbine race, which I'm going to take as a bit of an aberration for him. If I'm wrong, I'll lose. I like Regal Glory, and the price will be right. Her barnmate Domestic Spending, how great is it to see him back? A horse who might have well been the favorite in last year's Breeders' Cup Turf, got injured and not able to run. He comes back, and he's going to try to win this race off a 14-plus month layoff. And to match that 14, the poor guy got post 14 in here as well. Here is his electrifying win in the Manhattan. His dead heat win against Liam was brilliant when he overcame a layoff and no pace to still dead heat against, that time, a good Liam. Last time out, he was victimized by a very slow pace. It's a tough thing to do, come off this kind of layoff. But Chad Brown has exceptional numbers. I'll give you some stats. 250-plus layoffs in turf routes in general over the last 5 years. 48 for 153, 32%, 232 ROI. Graded stakes, he's 6 for 17 with a 311 ROI. And he's 3 for 3 in grade ones, getting it done with a 747 ROI. So he has gotten horses ready off long layoffs, even in big races. And obviously you wish he drew a better post, if you like him. And I picked him third. But I don't think it's that big a deal because the 4 horses inside of him are all much faster early. And he has no speed. He's going to drop back. He's got Flavien Prat. He's got speed inside of him. It shouldn't be that hard to get over. I know the turn comes up relatively quickly, but it's over a furlong away, and I'm not going to be surprised when he tucks in, gets good position, and he provides some fireworks on this Breeders' Cup Day because a win by him would be a remarkable achievement. Let's look at last year's second-place finisher. That's Smooth Like Straight. In fact, Ivar was third in that race, and Ivar, speaking of post 14, ran an absolutely brilliant race that day, coming from post number 12, actually, not post 14. Smooth Like Straight, who was my biggest bet in last year's Breeders' Cup, and listen, he ran well, but he didn't get it done. He was a big price, and he had the absolute run of the race, and it's not going to happen here. There's going to be pace in this race, and unfortunately for him, a horse we'll talk about next, Beyond Brilliance, in here, and you know he's going to go. And while Smooth Like Straight can rate a little bit, his best races are on the front end, and as good as he is, he's just not winning races anymore. And he's going to face other speed in here, and the other speed comes in the form of Beyond Brilliant, the number 7. Beyond Brilliant, now, that's another gutsy name to give a horse, but he has been pretty good. I wouldn't say Beyond Brilliant. Nice to see John Sheriff's back in the Breeders' Cup as well, and he's been pretty good, but not as good as these horses. And this horse, he has only one way to go, and he's got to go with Victor Espinoza, and he's going to try to wire this field. We'll see if he can do it. It would be quite an achievement. He'd have to improve a lot to get it done, but he adds speed to this race as well. As I said before, I'm taking Regal Glory. I believe she's good enough to win this, and her price is going to be right off a couple of defeats. I took her over the number 3, Dreamloper, who's the Euro that I want the most, though I respect the talents of Modern Games, and I certainly respect the talents of Kinross. The number 14, Domestic Spending, he's certainly a sentimental choice in here. I picked him third, and I'm not going to be surprised when he runs a big race. And Ivar, Javier Castellano picking up the mount. I got him fourth. It's going to be a terrific race. Looking forward to the Breeders' Cup Mile. Looking forward to you playing it over at NYRA Head on over to NYRABets.com. Use the promo code CUP25, and we'll match the $200 of your initial deposit and give you that free $25 play.